The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. Part 3, The Ride Through the Haunted Hollow. The road from the Van Tassel estate twisted like a serpent through the hills, slipping between ancient trees that crowded close on either side. Under the pale, cloud-obscured night sky, the path was more shadow than light, its details swallowed by the dark like secrets buried in the soil. Ichabod Crane, still reeling from whatever transpired between himself and Katrina Van Tassel, urged his horse forward with a tense hand and an uneasy heart. Gunpowder, the old plow horse, plodded forward with a strange energy, as if sensing the anxiety in his rider. The cheer of the harvest party had vanished, leaving only silence and suspicion in its place. Every creaking tree, every stirring bush along the road seemed to lean closer, breathing secrets. The night was unusually still, no owls hooted, no fox barked from the underbrush. Even the wind, which earlier whispered through the trees, had now died, as if the very world were holding its breath. Ichabod tried to focus his mind elsewhere. He recited verses of scripture beneath his breath and hummed softly to himself, but the rhythm of the hooves on the hard earth became a kind of drumbeat, slow, steady, and ominous. His thoughts drifted to the tales he'd heard by the hearth just hours before, the glowing orbs in the forest, the phantom carriage that passed silently through the mist, the whispering ghosts of lost children. But most of all, he thought of the Headless Horseman, and how the tale had echoed in the voices of the townspeople like gospel. He rides on moonless nights, the farmers had said, rises from the grave by the church and searches for his lost head. Ichabod laughed nervously, trying to dismiss the thought. But the sound of his own laughter, fragile, hollow, and strained, made him shiver. It was a sound that didn't belong to him, a stranger. The shadows grow deeper. As he passed familiar landmarks, gnarled oaks, twisted fences, stone walls half buried in moss, Ichabod's sense of direction began to fade. The road, so familiar in daylight, had become foreign and indistinct. In the distance, the silhouette of Major André's tree loomed, a place rumored to be haunted by the spirit of the British spy hanged during the Revolution. The tall, withered tree stood like a skeletal finger pointing toward the sky, and as Gunpowder passed beneath it, the horse shied suddenly to the left. Ichabod clutched the reins tightly, his heart hammering. "Steady, old fellow, steady." But Gunpowder was no longer the docile, weary creature Ichabod had ridden to the party. The horse's ears were twitching, his eyes darting to the side. He moved nervously, hooves crunching louder than before, as if both beast and man feared being overheard by something hiding in the dark. The woods grew thicker. Branches formed a tangled roof above, blotting out even the faint starlight. The road narrowed, winding through deep hollows and around steep ridges. A creek gurgled nearby, its voice like whispering laughter. Ichabod's imagination spun ever more vivid nightmares. He saw shapes in the trees, specters with glowing eyes, long arms reaching from between the trunks. Every rustle became a footfall, every gust a whisper, every tree a lurking phantom. He was no longer riding through the woods, he was moving through a graveyard of forgotten dreams and restless ghosts. The Bridge and the Legend. Eventually, Ichabod approached a stretch of road that passed through a particularly gloomy glen, nestled beside a winding brook that fed into the Hudson. This was the site of numerous ghostly sightings, and it led to the old wooden bridge near the churchyard, a location many believed to be the last haunted ground of the Headless Horseman. According to legend, the ghost could not cross the bridge. Once beyond it, a traveler would be safe. It was said that several villagers who encountered the phantom had escaped by racing across the bridge, whereupon the ghost would vanish in a flash of fire and thunder. Ichabod glanced ahead and saw the vague outline of the bridge's arch. His heart surged with hope, salvation lay only a few hundred yards ahead. Just cross the bridge, he whispered to himself. Just get to the church. You'll be safe. He kicked Gunpowder's sides gently, urging the horse forward, but then he heard it. The phantom appears. It began as a subtle sound, like wind rising through dead leaves. Then came the unmistakable rhythm, the heavy clop, 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 of hooves upon earth. Not the slow gait of Gunpowder, but the confident, pounding rhythm of a horse at a canter. Ichabod froze. He turned slowly in the saddle, his spine prickling with dread. Behind him, rising from the mist and shadows, was a shape. It was mounted on horseback. Large. Dark. Cloaked in black. And worst of all, headless. In place of a head, the figure held something round beneath one arm. Something large. Something that glistened faintly in the starlight. Ichabod let out a cry and spurred Gunpowder into a full gallop. The old horse lunged forward with surprising force, crashing through brush and over roots, bolting toward the bridge with the ghost behind him. The spectre gave no shout. No howl. It followed silently, its horse thundering forward with unnatural speed. Ichabod dared not look back again. The wind screamed past him, the branches whipped at his face. The bridge was close, so close he could see the moonlight on the boards. The chase to the bridge. Ichabod bent low over Gunpowder's neck, whispering prayers, reciting psalms, begging his horse to fly. The bridge was only seconds away. Behind him, the thunder of the ghost steed grew louder, closer, until it seemed the very air was cracking beneath its hooves. Then, he was there. Gunpowder's hooves struck the wooden planks of the bridge with a sharp clatter. They crossed the span in moments, and Ichabod's heart soared. He reached the other side and turned his head, expecting to see the ghost vanishing back into the woods. But the phantom did not stop. The headless horseman followed him across the bridge. With a terrible, silent strength, the figure rose in the saddle and hurled the object he held in his hand. Ichabod had only a heartbeat to see it, a flaming pumpkin, alight with eerie fire, before it struck him full in the face. The aftermath. The next morning, Gunpowder was found grazing calmly at his master's host's gate. Ichabod Crane, however, had vanished. Searchers scoured the area and soon found the broken remains of Ichabod's hat and saddle near the bridge. Lying beside them was a smashed pumpkin. There was no blood. No body. No sign of struggle. Just scattered leaves, hoofprints, and silence. Speculation ran wild. Some said Ichabod had been taken by the headless horseman, spirited away to the netherworld. Others suggested he had been frightened so badly that he fled the hollow entirely, abandoning his position and dreams. A few, mostly those loyal to Brom Bones, suggested something else entirely. Not long after, Brom married Katrina Van Tassel. He laughed heartily whenever Ichabod's name was mentioned, especially when someone brought up a pumpkin.